my best fragrance pickups in the month of October. Hey guys, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman, and it's time for your dose of some fragrance content. It's also time for me to show you what I consider to be my best fragrance pickups in the month of October. Now, keep in mind that in October I actually added quite a few fragrances to my collection, and it was kind of hard to show only 10, so I'm also going to show you a few honorable mentions, a few fragrances that didn't make the actual list for various reasons, and I'm going to tell you what those reasons were while I'm showing you the fragrances themselves. I'm going to start with two of them that actually smell quite similar to each other, because the original scents that both of them have been inspired by also smell quite similar to each other. They come from the brands of Hadlash. This one is called Island, and from Rasasi, this one is called House Tropical. Now both of them are heavily inspired by Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances. In the case of Island, it's the Le Beau Le Parfum one, and in the case of House Tropical, it's the one that's called Paradise Garden. Now both of them actually as scents, standalone scents, are pretty good, and they smell pretty similar to the original ones from Jean Paul Gaultier, but I've said this many times before, I've never been a huge fan of the whole Le Beau line. The one that out of those two that I actually enjoy a little bit more is the one from Hadlash Island, because Le Beau Le Parfum, I prefer Le Beau Le Parfum, and when it comes to Le Beau Paradise Garden, that's probably my least favorite one from that lineup. But House Tropical smells pretty similar to the original one, offers the usual quite good quality of the House line, has a pretty nice performance, and I know this fragrance has its following, has its fans, so that's why I'm going to include this one as a honorable mention. And then the same can be said about Island. This one has also been a pretty good clone of Le Beau Le Parfum, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of the whole lineup, so that's why this will also be included as an honorable mention. If we talk about performance, out of the two, House Tropical is the one that actually is a little bit better performing, but it's also a little bit more expensive, and overall the quality has been pretty similar between those two. The next one comes from the brand of Fragrance World, the next honorable mention, and this one is called Kohl. And the reason why I've included this as a honorable mention, not as an actual member of the list that I've prepared for today, is again the fact that I still am not fully sold on this scent profile. This one is heavily inspired by Tom Ford's Black Lacquer, and from what I remember Black Lacquer smelling, this actually gets very close. It's a very unique scent that smells green, smells smoky, smells a little bit plasticky even, has some greenness, has some spiciness. It's a very sophisticated and masculine scent that just feels a little bit, goes a little bit too much into that unique territory, and I've never really been a huge fan of fragrances that have this smoky and slash green mix of notes, and that's why this one is going to be included as an honorable mention. But again, as I said, from what I remember the original one smelling, Kohl actually gets pretty close to that one, and the original is quite expensive, so if you're looking for a nice alternative, then Kohl actually serves a good purpose as a that kind of a fragrance. The quality is good, and the performance is also I would say quite good. And the last honorable mention comes from a brand that's called Nassim, and this one is called Regent. Now the reason why I've included this one is, I don't know if you are familiar with the brand of Nassim, but basically they offer a lot of water-based fragrances, and I'm still not fully sold on the idea of having a water-based fragrance. And the reason why that is the case is because from what I've tried so far in my fragrance journey, I've tried a few from this brand, I've tried some other fragrances from other brands that are water-based. They lack the the performance, especially when we talk about projection. My own theory is that alcohol helps with the projection of the fragrances, and but to be honest, Regent actually has been a pretty solid fragrance from the brand of Nassim. What I've tried now, close to about 10 fragrances from that brand that I've tried over the past year and a half. This probably is the one that I enjoy the most. This one smells a lot like Creed Aventus. It's yet another Creed Aventus clone. This one is a water-based Creed Aventus clone that smells maybe slightly greener, this one slightly greener than the original fragrance, and has a bit of that smoky vibe that some of those famous batches of Creed Aventus have. The quality is very good with this one actually, and total longevity on skin and on clothes is pretty solid, but again, it lacks a little bit when it comes to projection. But again, this is probably the best one out of the brand that I've tried so far, and that's why I'm going to include it as an honorable mention. And now let's start with that actual list that will contain a total of 10 fragrances. The first one I covered in a review, full review yesterday. It comes from the brand of Rayhaan, and it's called Valhalla. And actually I've been pretty pleasantly surprised by this one. I've been pleasantly surprised, especially when it comes to the performance and actually how many compliments this fragrance has gotten me you know, in the time that I've been testing this one. This is heavily inspired by Kilian's Angel Shea Paradise, and it smells pretty similar to the original one, although it has a few minor differences. To my nose, this feels like a slightly sweeter version, slightly more playful version of Paradise, but still it retains a lot of that original scent, the booziness, the sweetness, maybe a hint of spiciness, that fruitiness, that raspberry note that the original one has. It's in here as well, and it's quite pronounced. And overall, this turned out to be a very pleasant surprise. The quality is good, the performance is pretty strong with this one, lasts for a long time, projects really nicely, and it's also a very inexpensive. So if you're looking for a Paradise clone, this is one of your best options at the moment, and I definitely can include this one as a solid pickup for me in the month of October. The next one comes from the brand of Armaf, and it's part of the Odyssey line. This one is called Odyssey Mandarin Sky Elixir. This is heavily inspired by a original scent from Jean-Paul Gaultier again. In this case it's Scandal Le Parfum, but it's not a straight up clone. This is more like having a strong twist, meaning that this also has some similarities to something like Paco Rabanne's Invictus Victory Elixir. Basically the scent leans heavily into the territory of Scandal Le Parfum, with that sticky caramel sweetness with a bit of those sort of the mandarin and orangey opening, but this one has a bit of a coconut vibe, and it also has a bit of incense in it. Those notes can be found in you know, in Invictus Victory Elixir, and this mix up as an end result actually is a very nice, and I've been really enjoying Odyssey Mandarin Sky Elixir. The quality is good, the performance is also quite good. It's one of the stronger fragrances that I'm going to show in today's video. Lasts for a long time, feels a little bit more youthful to be honest, but it's a great cold weather fragrance, especially something for a nighttime, for a night out, for a date night. Overall, I was quite impressed by the quality and the performance and the end result of the mix-up of the two original scents when it comes to Odyssey Mandarin Sky Elixir. Next, I'm going to cover the brands of A Fragrance World and French Avenue. I've added quite a few of their scents to my collection in October, and I'm going to start with A Fragrance World and their Sui Generis. This one smells a lot like Givenchy Gentleman Society Extreme, and as a scent, you know, this smells pretty similar to the original one, but as a standalone scent I really like this one, and I have only one gripe with this fragrance. But the scent, especially the opening, I absolutely love. It's a very interesting mix because the opening feels very fresh, feels a little bit spicy, sweet, slightly floral with a touch of coffee, and again the opening is superb. Unfortunately, it lasts for only a few minutes, and then it enters its dry down. Not that the dry down is bad on this one, just the opening I absolutely love. It feels kind of energetic and kind of classy, slightly sweet, floral. Really like this one as a scent. The quality is really good as well. The only gripe that I have with this fragrance has to do with the performance. Now, total longevity of skin is not bad. It's about 7 hours or thereabout. But where this lacks a little bit is the projection. It's a little bit softer for my taste, although I don't really like that super loud fragrances, but Sui Generis leans to the softer side, unfortunately. The good things are that this smells nice, it smells close to the original one, it's very inexpensive, and as I said, total longevity on skin is not bad, it's just the projection. But overall, still, I like this as a scent enough for me, so I can include it in today's video as a one of my best pickups in October. The next three all come from the brand of French Avenue. The first one, I've talked about this one a lot lately, but I've been very impressed, and I just cannot leave this one out of this video. It's part of the Zenith line and it's called Zenith Noir. This one supposedly is inspired by a Mont Blanc fragrance that's called Black Meister Stuck, I think, or something like that. I absolutely love this one. It was a love at first sniff for me, and probably it's going to be one of my signature scents, affordable signature scents moving on to the future, simply because of how much I like this one. It's again a little bit more on the unique side. It's woody, it's slightly fresh, there's some incense in it, a bit of spiciness, a slight greenness, some amber sweetness on the dry down. This one smells a little bit like Afnan Tribute Blue. In a way, it reminds me of stuff like, let's say, Bois Imperial from Essential Perfumes. It doesn't smell close to Bois Imperial, but it tries to do the same thing, being a little bit green, woody, you know, slightly fresh and all that stuff. It's a very, very nice scent. It's more on the unique side, so keep that in mind. I would strongly suggest that if you are interested into this one, try it, sample it before you buy it, because you may end up not liking it. But I personally love it. It's very masculine, it's sophisticated, it's dressed up, and it's unique, and has great performance on top of that. So yeah, it was a great pickup for me personally. The next one was an interesting scent that got quite a bit of hype even before it was actually released to the wider public. It's called Atlantis Extrait and shares a similar bottle design to stuff like Ether Extrait, Chaos Extrait, Irida Extrait. This one is supposedly a clone of Wave Child from room 1015. I've never tried the original one, but this is a very interesting mix of some watermelon, or to be more specific, a lot of watermelon, with some citruses in the opening, a bit of cacao, and some added sweetness and slight bitterness on the dry down. And this turned out to be a lot more complex than I actually expected it to smell. It's not as bubblegummy and as light and summery as I expected it to be, because of the darkness on the dry down. This actually can be worn throughout the year. It's actually a very versatile fragrance, as long as you like the note of watermelon. If you like the note of watermelon, this is a must try for me personally, in my opinion. Very nice quality and strong performance. This one lasts for a long time. And the last one from French Avenue that I'm going to include in today's video is part of the Veneno line. This one is called Veneno Scarlet, and this is supposedly a clone of Veneno Incarnate from Stephanie Humbert Lucas. Another original scent that I've never tried, but this is quite an interesting and complex scent that on one hand smells very fruity, maybe even slightly, not exactly tropical, but very summery because of that fruity sweetness that it has. It has a strong strawberry note, raspberry note, I think there's blackcurrant as well, or blackberry. There's also quite a bit of caramel sweetness with this one, but there's also things like maybe a hint of incense, some booziness, a bit of leather, which make it very complex. And the opening feels a little bit fresh and light and maybe leaning a little bit to the feminine side, but then the dry down actually turns darker, more woody, more serious, and smells a little bit more to the masculine side. It's quite a unique complex scent that I've been actually enjoying a lot, because it has nice quality, it smells very interesting, and also has pretty strong performance, both when we talk about longevity on skin and projection as well. The next one comes from the brand of Hadlash, and it's called Shiyaaka Shadow. This one smells a lot like Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy Cobalt Parfum Electric, and it's one of those scents that also received quite a bit of hype even before it was actually released to the wider public. And although it didn't turn out to be as good as I expected it to be after watching some of the initial reviews of this one, on its own this actually is not a bad scent. It's a nice sort of a slightly fresh, slightly barbershopy feeling, slightly youthful feeling scent that has nice aromatic nature, has a bit of citruses, has some sweetness on the dry down, some woodiness, quite a bit of musks as well. And it's not a bad scent. The overall quality is good. Even this even brings a bit of shower jelly vibes, to be honest. You know, at least to my nose. But this smells nice. Unless we talk about the deep dry down, where this turns a little bit, I don't know, like the quality drops a little bit on the dry down. I don't know if it's down to the quality of the musky note or where it's down to the quality of the perfumer's alcohol that's being used. But other than that, this has decent quality. The performance is also decent. It's nothing special, but still it will last for about 7 to 8 hours. Projection initially projects nicely, soon after that starts to become a bit of a skin scent. But if you can find this one for a low amount of money, then I think it's not a bad pickup, and actually I consider it to be one of my better pickups in October. And I'm going to finish off today's video with 3 fragrances from the brand of Arabiat Prestige. The first one was quite hyped up a few months ago. I initially couldn't get a bottle of this one, then later on, just recently, I was able to get a bottle, and it's called a Marwa. And this one smells a lot like Louis Vuitton's Imagination, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like an exact clone of Imagination. It feels more like a twist. You still get the freshness from Imagination. You'll get that tea note, which adds quite a unique and slightly mature vibes to the scent, in my opinion. You get some of those musks and all that stuff, but this also feels slightly fresher and more soapy than the original scent, at least in my opinion. And this in a way reminds me of this one over here, which is called Aqua Dubai from the Amber Oud line and Al Haramain. Feels like a mix between Imagination and Aqua Dubai. As a daily scent, as a fresh summertime daily scent, laid back scent, this actually is very nice. Quality is very good with this one, and the performance is also good, keeping in mind that this is more of a fresh type of scent. It's a very versatile fragrance that you can wear throughout the year, but basically the best time to wear this one is in the summertime. And the last 2 that I'm going to show you both come from the same brand new line from Arabiat Prestige that's called Ramat. One of them is called simply Ramat, it's this grey one, and the other one is called Ramat Oriental. The green one is a clone of Amouage Outlands, and this one smells quite unique and I like it a lot. In fact, both of them smell very nice. This is leaning more to the unique side. Keep that in mind. It's not something that you'll safely blind buy. This is very spicy, especially the opening is very heavy on the note of cardamom. Feels slightly boozy in my opinion. Has the cumin note as well, which is quite strong initially, then settles a little bit on its dry down. Has some sweetness, some woodiness as well. This feels kind of resinous in a way. Maybe a hint of balsamic. It's a very unique scent that I've actually been digging quite a lot. The quality on both of them is quite good, and the performance is also pretty solid, easily lasting at least 8 hours, both of them. This one initially projects a little bit better than that silver one or the gray one that's simply called Ramat, but over time, you know, projection starts to level out a little bit, and then the longer this stay on my skin personally, the better Ramat actually starts to perform compared to Ramat Oriental. But Ramat Oriental on its own is a very good performing scent, and that gray one that's called simply Ramat, this one is heavily inspired by Naxos from Xerjoff, but it's not identical. It's more like a spin because the opening is darker, it's less aromatic, the citruses are not as pronounced as you'll find in the original one from Xerjoff, and also this feels like being heavier on the tobacco note. It has an interesting sort of a hint of booziness as well, sort of an interesting like a dark chocolatey note as well. It's a very nice take on Naxos itself. It smells like a less fresh, less aromatic, and more masculine, like a darker version of Naxos, but I've been really enjoying this one as well. This one lasts for a very long time, in fact surprisingly long. I'm going to talk more about the performance of both of them in my full review, probably at some point next week. I have the other two from this lineup as well, but I still don't have that much experience with them, so that's why I've not included them in today's video. But both Ramat and Ramat Oriental are very solid fragrances. And so guys, in today's video I showed you what I consider to be my best fragrance pickups in the month of October, plus a few additional honorable mentions. I hope that you found today's video interesting. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me in my next video for your dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.